How's it going, guys? And welcome back to another one bar build in Gedonia. Today we're going to be using the Frost Mage armor set. Let's dive in, have a look at the armor. And with this armor, it looks pretty sick. I do love the tunic. Like the helmets, it's like the ancient people from the Northern Kingdoms. Pretty much their armor set because, you know, they are from the Northern Kingdom. So Frost Mage, of course, they are going to be specialized in frost magic. I do love the gauntlets too. Well tied together set of armor. Let's check out the unique bonuses on the Frost Mage armor set. So if you have two pieces of the Frost Mage armor set, your elemental attack, focus the element, and elemental beam use ice element by default. So you don't need to apply the ice element on yourself at all. It just uses the ice element, which is pretty cool. And elemental attack creates a wave of ice spikes instead of just the frost bolt that it usually shoots out. And once you have all 5 items of this armor set, focus the element creates a devastating attack of ice spikes, but it just doesn't have that frost nova anymore. It just creates a devastating attack of ice spikes. Now for the stats of the armor. There's nothing to really look at when you look at the cloth armor. You only get like 1% armor with each piece, so 5% all up. Nothing to really write home about. You do get a decent magical damage absorption, which is pretty good. Also, you get the damage bonus to elemental magic spells, pretty good crit strike chance, alright boost to health, a massive boost to mana, pretty good magical resist, and also a decent boost to attack and cast speed. Let's have a look at the accessories now. So starting off with the cloak, I've just picked the Archmage cloak. So we've got 80% damage to arcane magic spells. Got 3 spells in there. I'm not sure, they don't really do damage, but it might boost them in a small way. But that's not what we're really after. What we're really after is a 160% damage to elemental magic spells. So this will increase the damage of elemental attacks, which is really good. You get 200 to health and mana as well, and also a 5% to magical resistance. Now for the other accessories, I've chosen to go with the magical ambition accessory set. Once you have 2 items, every time an enemy receives damage, you have a chance to get an effect that increases all magic by 30% for 10 seconds. But this is every time. There's no cooldown, so this can stack. But the more magic damage you have pumping out, it can just go up and up and up. And once you have all 4 items, this is just a higher chance of occurring. Also, all of the trinkets and rings, they give you a percentage to all of the spell trees. So arcane, dark, elemental, holy magic, and nature magic. And also a pretty decent boost to mana as well. These trinkets are pretty good for any mage. These are just like all-rounder. So I just chose to go with these for now. Other than that, let's check out the living weapon. So the living weapon I chose for this build is the Dragon's Soul, stage 3. Each elemental spell has a chance to summon a fire-breathing dragon that attacks enemies with fireballs. The dragon improves your elemental beam and it attacks with fiery attack in the spots where you focus an element. Now I know fire and ice doesn't really make sense, but it's the best elemental staff and that's sort of all we get. Now with all staffs, you get the 200% mana regeneration, which is great. This is one of the better staffs. It gives 70 damage instead of 50, but still, you don't really want to melee with it. But with the 320% damage to elemental magic spells is great, and of course the 122 mana. This is great elemental staff. It can proc and just devastate some enemies. Let's have a look at the skills. Starting off with arcane magic, we've got magic overload. So for 5 seconds it applies a buff that will increase our magic power by 60%, but all of our spells will require 80% more mana. So there is a downside. And also we've got the mastery skill, maximum overload. So we now use 200% magic power. When we apply magical overload, our magic power is increased by 200%, but we use 400% mana cost. Pretty big downside, but burst damage. And with every point of intellect, which actually makes up for it, we get an extra 30% more magic power. So the more intellect you have, the more damage you'll do with the maximum overload. Next up, we have evasive blink. So this is just going to be our dodge for our mage, and this just replaces blink with a passive dodge so we can actually just use it on the fly whenever we want. But we do get arcane instability if we keep using it, which just increases the mana cost of our next blink by 200%, the only downside. Next up, we have slow time level 3. So this just creates a zone of slow time around us, which all enemies and projectiles are slowed for 30 seconds. Very handy to have, especially when you have multiple projectiles coming in. You can just slow them all down and sort of get out of the way. Next up, we have Magic Shield. While this is active, it absorbs all damage at the cost of mana. So with our level range, it'll be 50 to 80. So every 1 mana for 3 damage, which is a pretty good trade-off, especially if you have high mana. You can boost that higher, have the regen. The more regen you have, the more shield that you'll have as well. Next up, we have Mana Bonus level 3. Just a straight up 100 mana. And then Mana Replenishment, which gives us a passive mana regeneration by 300%. Then we have Magic Resistance, level 3, increases our magical resistance by 9%. Next up, in Elemental Magic, we have Elemental Attack. This is going to be our spam spell. We're going to be looking at Ice, so channeling that deals ice damage and slows down enemies, but we're going to be using the Ice Spikes because our armor set converts it into a different spell. And then next up, we have Elemental Beam, level 2. Creates a powerful beam of focus elemental energy for 4 seconds that will deal damage accordingly to current element. It pierces through the enemies, so you can just get them in a long line and smash them all at the same time. Just increases the damage, level 2. Now, Focus the Element, level 3. If any element is applied, it absorbs it for 20 seconds and creates different spells. And this level 3 just increases the damage. So we'll be doing ice. That will create a frost nova in the area, freezing all enemies nearby. But we will be doing a devastating attack that deals ice spikes. Remember our armor set, and we won't be consuming any elements as well because we won't have it applied. It's just automatic. So we won't have to have any ice element. Very handy to have. So we can use that as much as we like, and it won't get rid of our ice element. Next up, we have Rampage of the Elements, level 5, which just increases our elemental magic damage by 70%. Next up in the defense tree, we have Survivability level 2, which just increases our health by 60, and also the Mastery skill Defense Master, which, as you guys should know by now, it just increases our health by 30%. Now for a curveball, we've got Dark Magic, so 15 points into that, and I just chose Bone Serpent, just because I thought Frost, Undead, yeah, I don't know, it's sort of just giving me them big Frostworm vibes from World of Warcraft. But yeah, we just chose Bone Serpent level 3, summons a powerful Bone Serpent for 40 seconds. It deals huge amount of damage and has a lot of health and doesn't require a mana pool. So this will just be a cooldown every 4 minutes. Pop this and you'll be just doing burst of damage for 40 seconds. Then we have Dark Power level 5, just to give us a bit more damage for it with our Bone Serpent. I'm not sure if it gives it a 70% boost or it halves it. Every little bit counts, I suppose. Next up in Banditry, we just got 15 points in Evade, so we can evade some damage. 15% chance to evade, not too bad. Then in Speech, we have 7 points just for that mana bonus. And lastly, in Talents, we just have 5 points in health bonus, so we get 500 health. I should have put all of them points in stamina so we get more stamina, but I'm an idiot. Stamina doesn't really matter anyway. It's all magic that you really need. So we've got 5 points in mana bonus as well, so an extra 375 mana. 5 points in magic bonus, which gives us another 125% more magic damage. 5 points in defense bonus, which gives us more armor and magic resist by 5%. And also 5 points in speed bonus, which increases our attack speed by 15% and also our movement speed by 1.25. Alright guys, let's check out these Frost Ogres and how badly we can beat them. So here we are at the Frost Ogre's encampment. What we're going to do is put on Magical Overload. We can get these guys. Just that piercing damage. That's crazy. And even our ice spikes can pierce as well. I might go these guys next. Put on our bubble. Also focus the element. You can see that does bulk damage. You'd definitely be able to just smash through enemies very quick. You can see our spamming ability, just ice spikes. And also our staff is summoning all these dragons. which definitely help in doing damage. Like 4 of them or 5 of them already. Especially, yeah, the magical overload. You'll be doing so much damage. Like, pump through them really quick, and they all boost your damage up as well, so keep that in mind. I'll go through a big one here. Take out all of these enemies. See, we are dealing significant amount of damage. Our bubble of slow time up. We just got them all in a line, just piercing straight through them. Get our overload up. Maybe another focus element. We can see. Just rips everything apart. But thanks to our dragons and slow time spell, magic shield, like pretty damn strong. Especially if you have a lot of mana and mana regen. Because remember that magic shield's just only going to stay up as long as your magic is, or as long as you have mana. Going down a little bit there. And yeah, that's it. That's how you do it. The Frost Mage can definitely pump out the damage. And with the magic shield, they can be very tanky as well. Them ice spikes just pierce through enemies. You can do massive AoE group damage. And with overload up, you can definitely just do the burst damage. And with all the dragons as well, like I saw them hitting for like 3k every second pretty much. If you, the more dragons you have, of course, the higher damage it's going to be, but it really just surprised me how much burst damage this build has to offer, especially with like the slow time bubble. Group all the enemies in one place and just decimate them with ice spikes. Let me know what you guys think. All right guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I hope you enjoyed this build video. And that's going to do it from me. Hope you guys liked it, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. All right guys, take care.